Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Wake Up Hollywood with Nikki Korula and Eddie Pence, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Wake up, Hollywood. This is your host with the most, Nikki Korula, in the house. We are welcoming back Mr. Pete, the Goonies, Hopkins. Say hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Did you just do your own sound effects?
I did my own sound effects.
Look, watch, I can
I'm
silence
a DIY
them.
kind of guy.
See? Silence. Applause. So, dude, you've been working on music forever, and I love it.
Yeah. I have.
Dude, you are, first of all, I'm just going to put this right at the top of the show. You are a shredding guitarist.
Thank you.
Do you still work on shredding guitaring? Guitar works, I should say.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna do something, and nobody paid me to do this or anything, but it meant a lot to me, and so I'm gonna talk about it. I did this thing at the beginning of this year called Guitar Acceleration, Artist Acceleration, and before this year, the answer to that question would have been no. But I had kind of come to an interesting sort of place in my life where I was looking for something to recenter me and sort of meditative, if you will.
Like musically or just spiritually,
Any fucking
everything.
thing. It
Right.
didn't have to be music. It's just anything. I needed to chill the fuck out. I needed something to bring me back to center.
Right.
Yeah. And I tried various different things, but also at the same time, I saw this guitar thing, and it was very interesting to me. And it was great. It was the idea was that it was the ability to install any guitar skill in 30 days.
Any guitar skill.
Anything.
So when you say that, like break it down. Like what are
Okay.
the skills you're thinking
Well,
about?
this will only make sense to guitar players, but say something
That's
like
all right.
hybrid picking, sweep picking, alternate picking,
Yep.
those sorts of things. Pick one of those. Pick whatever you want to focus on, whatever discipline it is, and then you go through this process. And I went into it not knowing a whole lot about what I was getting into. I had just saw an ad for it and thought it was interesting, and so I got into it, and it was unlike anything I'd ever done as far as any sort of instruction. Because, God, let's face it. I mean, I've done everything up until then. I'd had private lessons. I watched videos and studied people's techniques and like how do they do that kind of stuff. This was a completely mental process.
Right.
There wasn't one lick in it. There wasn't one moment. There wasn't 1 second of anyone saying, "Here's how you hold a pick to make this happen."
Right.
It's much more about, and this is what was of so much value to me, is looking at what you naturally already do and
enhancing it.
harnessing that.
Yeah.
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 So I went back and I like almost, I guess I completely, but I basically went deep with a microscope and re-engineered my abilities to the point where, like, first of all, thank you for the compliment and stuff.
Yeah.
To
of
me,
course.
in my mind, I didn't ever feel like I was in control of that until recently. I felt like a scribbler, not a sculptor.
Right.
I'm a sculptor now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think a
Yeah.
lot of it too is like you as an artist, any artist, I don't care if it's you're a painter or if you're a dancer or if you're a guitarist. There's this you are inspired by people that you find
Yeah.
flawless abilities
Right.
in, just like
Yeah.
perfection. And they're flawed, and they can't even listen to their own stuff in
Exactly.
the same way. But
I'm totally glad
you're
you
harder
said
on
that,
yourself.
because
Yeah.
that reminded me of something. Through that, what you realize is that some of your flaws are exactly what can make you remarkable
Yeah.
if you know how to turn that to your advantage.
Yeah.
And that was something that was really, really cool about it.
Well, the other thing
It
too,
was
it's like, I remember, I'll never forget this. When I was a music student, I met Carter Buford from Dave Matthews Band, and I walked up to him and I was like, man, your drum solo on number 36, track 6 on the Live at Red Rocks record is so unbelievable. He's like, oh man, I can't listen to that. And I was so shocked
Yeah.
to hear that. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I just can't listen to that. My playing is so much farther.
Yeah.
You know, every artist that I talk to, when they're like, oh yeah, that song that I released is not who I am anymore. And I'm like, you can't say that, because it's like it is a reflection of where you were.
Mhm.
It's the time continuum
Yeah.
that you're just kind of like basically making marks in
Yeah.
to showcase like how you grow. And it's like, the funny thing is, we were talking about Steve Ray Vaughan in the car on the way over here.
Yeah.
Steve Ray Vaughan got kicked out of the first band he was in.
That's funny.
And his brother is his favorite guitarist. Now, Jimmy Vaughn, I love Jimmy Vaughn. He is not in my top 10.
Yeah.
And he is not even on the same
I'd
playing
agree.
field as a player as Steve Ray Vaughan for me.
I'd have to say the same.
And yet, it's weird that he would idolize somebody that is, to me, not as good of a player as Steve Ray Vaughan, But that's just, sometimes it's weird how we as artists see ourselves with, in the realm of where we kind of land amongst others,
Right, yeah.
So it's like learning to kind of accept those mistakes or those kind of blemishes, or like being unfiltered is part of it, So it's like, it's interesting that you chose at your level of playing to just focus on these little like kind of like game tricks. Like I always say, it's like Legend of Zelda. Like
Yeah.
you get a new superpower and you put it in your bag of tricks.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's great that what made you just like want to start doing that?
I don't know. I don't even know.
You just wanted
I don't even know.
to
It
find
was-
something new in guitar.
Maybe just that.
Yeah.
Maybe just that. Yeah, because I'd felt like I had. I mean, geez, it's been so many years that I've been involved with this and stuff. And the guitar was my. That was the very beginning. That was my first love, was the guitar. And then
Right.
later on, I became a songwriter,
Right.
and a producer, and all
Right.
these things. And singing, really, mostly, honestly, now when I get paid for stuff, it's a lot of times it's for the voice.
Right.
It's not often guitar. Occasionally I'll get guitar gigs, but most of my gigs are involved with vocals, songwriting, and production.
So let me ask you this.
The guitar is just
When
a
you
tiny little
started
piece
playing
of it.
music, was it guitars first?
Yes.
So, you and I kind of are inverses of each other, because for me, it was always
Vocal.
getting vocal gigs.
Yeah.
And for me, when I started getting guitar gigs or just getting production gigs or being asked to play solos, that's when I knew. I was like, oh, dude,
Mhm.
that little part of me that always wanted that to be noticed.
Yeah.
That's an exciting place. So like, if you were working on being a singer, coming from that world of guitar, people are asking you to do vocal stuff, that's an exciting place to
Oh, yeah.
to be asked
Yeah.
for that, because that you put in the time. That's a great place to be in.
I honestly, though, I mean, like if you were asked me to rank them, I'm not even sure I could. I get something completely different. out
For
of
me, it
each of
changes
them.
every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every day, like
Yeah.
I played piano yesterday, and I was just like,
Oh,
I
I
love
love playing the
piano.
piano.
And then
Yeah.
I'll just pick up a guitar and be like, oh my God, how could I not play guitar? I love guitar.
Yeah.
And then I'll sing, and I'm like, it all comes down to singing, And then I'll be in the studio, and I'm like, oh, it's always about recording. And then I'll play live, and it's like, oh my God, how could I ever sleep on playing live? That's where it's really at, because you actually feel the energy.
Okay, I was wrong. Singing live,
The best.
fucking awesome.
Isn't it the best?
It's the best.
It's the best. And you know what?
I
It's like,
can rank it.
the-
Singing live,
it is the best.
the best.
You know what's crazy
It's the
is, like most people, they don't realize how therapeutic it is for a singer just to sing. Do you feel that? Do you feel the same way?
Realize how much effort goes into that.
Yes. And it is like a mental game.
shit. It's massive.
Do you know the books, The Inner Game of Tennis or The Inner Game of Music?
No.
It's
No.
a series of books. I was just having this conversation with somebody. It's like these series of books that tell you how to like switch off the mind and just basically get into that Zen place of creating.
Nice.
And it's funny with singing. I'm sure throughout your career when you were learning, people told you, okay, this is what you need to do to sing. And you're learning how to align your voice and breathe and all this
So
stuff.
many things.
But the moments that you're really singing and making the best music, you're not thinking of any of that stuff.
It's true.
It's just like you're in this like automatic pilot.
Yeah.
Like that's that Zen place where it's like you just know it's gonna work. And they say that tennis players get to that, golf players. So it's all about this inner game. Same old game, you know?
Same old. Look what he did. It's the same
Pete and I
old
just wrote a
game.
song. I'm going to document this right now. We just wrote a song called Same Old Game today.
Perhaps. Perhaps that's
He
the
wants
name.
to change the name, but
It
I'm
might
like,
be that.
same
Might be
old
that.
game.
Let's
I
take
love
some
it.
calls.
That's-
If that's a cliche.
We already had Otis vote on it, and we know he.
Well, Otis never lies.
So,
I bet you had a treat in one hand.
well, I wish I did because I'd put it in my mouth right now if I did. You came from Seattle.
Otis is.
Did you live
dog.
in the city? Did you live in the city, or were you in a suburb?
Sorry, I was about to start singing some Stevie Wonder. I was. Did I live in? No, because I was a kid in Seattle, and I grew up in on what's known as the East Side. There's this bridge that separates Seattle City from kind of this other thing, and I was in the other thing. When I was older and I went out on my own, I lived in the city.
Did you ever go to that public market just to like get some fish?
Well, yeah.
Did you, like because I've
No,
never actually known somebody that actually
actually,
goes to it to
I didn't
actually
go there
just
to get the
fish.
fish.
You went there for the spectacle.
I went there for a lot of shit, but it was never fish. Actually, I went there for this really awesome tea they
Hmm.
make, which is amazing. It's called Market Spice Tea. It's from a place called Market Spice. Look at all this free advertising I'm giving out for all
See?
you people. You're welcome.
Well, the funny thing is, like when I went to Seattle, I've only been there
Market
once,
Spice.
and I never hit the public market. I hit up the Gorge. I hit up the Space
Gorge.
Needle
I missed the Gorge.
Experience Music Project.
Did you go to a concert at the Gorge?
Oh, yeah.
Is it not?
Oh,
It's
dude,
gorgeous.
that is the best venue
Gorgeous.
I think in the world.
Fantastic.
I don't think there's a better venue in the
Well, I
world.
haven't seen all of them, but it's amazing.
But I mean, if you look up pictures of venues,
It's
that's
fantastic.
probably number one. And
It's-
I put Red Rocks number two.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
I'd put Hollywood Bowl in the top 5.
Hollywood Bowl's good, but it ain't no Gorge.
But it's not Gorge. The Gorge is,
It's gorgeous. It's
gorgeous.
almost like being like at the fucking Grand Canyon,
I know.
and there's the stage.
I know.
It sounds amazing.
It's like whoever thought of putting a venue there is like,
Brilliant.
you're just such a G.
You're
you're a
making me-
gangster.
I'm homesick.
So, all right. So you grew up in
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And what were you like? You must, like, Nirvana must have been a hometown hero.
I liked Nirvana, but I was also kind of pissed at Nirvana
You were pissed then. Why?
because I was a technician. I was trying to shred and be really fast and really technical.
You're like, what is this?
And that motherfucker didn't even tune his guitar.
Yeah, right.
So young Pete, angry, angsty,
So what was
Pete
your band that you were like,
was real not feeling the grunge thing. Because
Okay.
it was like the antithesis of all the things that I was working towards.
and what were the music? What were the songs or the musicians or bands that you were like, this is inspiring me?
That I was into?
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh.
No.
It's it was Miles Davis.
That's amazing. Why would I laugh at Miles
it was
Davis?
Headhunters. Well, because people don't think of someone in Seattle grooving on that.
So you were
but
way into jazz
I was
before.
so into jazz.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my very. I'm gonna give you a very very quick evolution.
Yeah.
It was metal, heavier metal, virtuoso fusion, jazz, funk, country, pop.
Wow.
That's about the order.
Wow.
Then dubstep. I'm not gonna say EDM because I don't like all EDM. I like some EDM.
Right.
But I
Well,
think a lot
that's
of
in every
it's kind
genre,
of,
though.
yeah, whatever.
There's good and bad.
Yeah. And now I've come full circle, and I'm my real love and heart right now is like 80s rock and stuff
Like?
that. Like
Slayer.
no, that'd be metal.
Okay.
Heavy metal. More like
Winger?
Toto.
Toto.
Or something like that, or bands that fuse keyboards and guitars
Hmm.
in a cool kind of way, which is a lot of that shit in the 80s.
And you know, the funny thing too, is like a lot of those sounds in the 80s, they kind of had these like very identifiable guitar sounds.
Yeah.
It was like either you were using just like Boss distortion pedals or you were using lots of chorus in your guitar playing. Because I mean, you think of the biggest songs,
Yeah,
you think of the
like
best guitar riffs.
like Photograph
Yeah,
or something.
Photograph.
Yeah.
You think of Cyndi Lauper, Time After Time. You
Mhm.
think of Prince.
Yeah, and those
You know,
tones
Purple
are
Rain.
beautiful. I love
Yeah,
those
they're
tones.
so great, and it's
So
like,
lush.
and it's like all of it was like made with
Yeah.
like the same like 2 or 3 pedals,
Probably.
and it's like changed
And a
the
lot of
way.
eventides.
Oh yeah, and now it's coming back. It's kind of neat to see all that stuff coming back.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, so you went through this whole evolution,
Mhm.
and then how old were you when you moved to Los Angeles?
Early 20s.
You were like, I'm ready to hit the city.
It was yeah, something like that. It wasn't totally my idea. It was a vocal coach that kind of pushed me towards it.
He or she was like, you need to move to LA,
He said, "You got to move to LA, dude."
and he was like,
Well, you
you were like,
remember
what's in LA?
I don't want to
You're like, there's a chubby brown guy named Nicky. You gotta meet him, dude.
That was it. No, that wasn't it, man. No, glad to have met you. You were not the reason for me moving.
Here's a nice piece of shit.
Damn.
Sorry. So you
But
came
it was
to LA.
that. Yeah, it was he saw in me this I had this, you know, young, handsome guy with a lot of pop sensibility and stuff, and he's like, "You're doing great. Go to LA."
And you just packed up. What did you pack to come here? Because like I'm an LA boy, and it's
yeah.
you know, people don't understand.
I
Like
took some
for me,
things.
it's like I couldn't imagine moving to a whole other city,
I didn't
and
do it
what
with
I
a
would take.
suitcase. I had a truck
right?
with some shit. I had like a couch and you know, whatever you could fit in a U-Haul. A
And you
small
drove from
truck.
Seattle to LA. That must have been 16 hours
Something like that. Yeah,
with a
I split
couch,
it over
just
a
like
couple
in
days.
your truck.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, and you know all the stuff that you need to live. Well, not all the stuff. Like I don't think I had a TV. There's like a lot of shit I didn't have. But yeah.
And then what was your first impression coming here? I like to ask that question too
It was
because
kind of awesome. I had all kinds of hope because like some really cool shit happened to me like as soon as I got here. Like, I mean, I went and did an open mic at Cantor's. I got $100 tip.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, this is how it is in this city. I'm gonna get $100 tips all day.
Yeah, it was great. The guy had it was really cool how he set it up. He asked me after the fact. He said, "So, what's your story? Are you some rich kid?" I said, "No, I'm not. Actually, I don't come from money at all." And he says, "Well, I'll tell you what. This is from a poor guy who thinks you've got a big future."
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah.
And you're like, dude,
And
this
I'm like,
city.
I'm never leaving.
You need to
This is
just
my destiny.
you need to just find that guy and make sure he comes to every single gig.
He came to a lot.
That's awesome.
He's an electrician.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So then, did you play other venues in LA? I know you
played-
did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I played so many.
What venues did you play?
I
Some,
played,
some I'm sure they don't exist anymore
it's
because
probably
I'm that
easier
way.
to say what ones I didn't play. I
Okay.
didn't play the Troubadour.
Oh, why not? That's a great venue.
I don't know. Didn't
You know what? You know what? I'll tell
didn't
you.
find an inroad for it. It just didn't come up on my radar much.
That venue I always
I still
thought
want
was
to.
going to sound better than it did. I
Yeah.
played there 3 times,
Yeah.
and I always hope it's going to sound like the shows that I go see there,
But
but it doesn't.
Seriously, name any other place I played there.
Knitting Factory,
Yes.
Mint.
Love the Knitting Factory. Miss the Knitting Factory.
I miss the Knitting Factory.
the
I
shit.
love that venue.
Yeah.
The Mint,
Played the Mint. They love me.
Viper Room,
Played it.
alternate. I mean, oh, I got one.
Coconut Teaser.
I was gonna say that. That's so weird that you brought that up.
Coconut Teaser.
How did you read my mind?
I don't know.
Coconut Teaser. That was a shithole club.
It was shitty.
That was such a weird setup of a
It
club.
was terrible.
You know
But-
what's so funny? My parents have come to so many of those gigs.
Yeah.
And like the first couple gigs was like, don't come because
Yeah.
it's not, you're not going to
It's
like.
not. But
what-
I was
what
so
you see.
excited because, like, that was another weird thing too. I met this promoter up on Mulholland Drive, and he's like, "Hey, you in music?" He just looked at me and said, "Are you in music?"
And you're like, yes.
I said,
How
"Yes,
did you
I am
know?"
in music." And he started talking to me about his one World Productions or I don't remember what the fuck it was called. One World, One America. Maybe it might have been One America. I think it's called One America. And yeah, he got me into. I bet you know the name Gian Greco.
Yeah.
Yep, that guy booked me at a lot of places. Yeah.
Did you ever
including-
get hustled in LA?
Oh yeah.
That's a
I
fun
did.
question. Because like I'm from here and I got hustled in LA.
I got hustled terribly.
A lot of promoters. There's some shady
It
promoters.
wasn't
in
a
this business.
promoter. It was just a really good con artist.
Wow, what
And,
happened?
uh,
You're like,
You wanna
was
see
there-
me cry? You're just trying to make me cry
It's good
now.
radio right there.
Mhm.
All right, so you came to LA, and then did you enjoy like the venues and the kind of like the nightlife? Because it is kind of like a, for me, when I was gigging, it was like, oh wow, I'm just gonna be up in the middle of the
was-
hours of burn the midnight oil.
It was just really different for me on a lot of ways. I mean, I came to LA a really shy kid who barely knew how to talk to people, and I realized that's not going to work.
Right.
So, like, I
Like,
had
I got to
to
get some
learn.
personality in this.
I had to learn how to not be so afraid to open my mouth and speak, other than into a microphone when making a song.
Right.
I had to become like a whole person outside of that, and that was, fuck, that was massive, dude. And like just that feeling, I would often, and I still do. I have social anxieties even to this day. Certain situations, I've come a long way with it.
I kind of feel like everybody has
Yeah,
them
yeah.
on some level. You
Yeah.
feel it. It's an artificial thing
But I
to
had
be
it
social.
real bad.
Okay,
Like I'd
alright.
just be like a wallflower, just like,
Hmm.
like that.
I've
That
never
quiet.
known that, Pete.
You have not. It's so funny, dude. Yeah, people that know me now, they're like, "Yeah, shut up." I don't.
Yeah,
believe you.
right,
I don't
right.
believe you because I never shut up. Now I'm just like.
And so, like, what was the like?
But so
this-
that was a big deal. That was a big thing. It's just learning how to like have something to
Come out of your
say
show.
all
Yeah.
the time, anytime.
And what was the style of music that you were kind of most influenced by when you came here? Because it's a
That
different
changed,
scene.
too. That
yeah.
changed so much. But when I was in Seattle, I recorded a record, and I'll have you know, it was a couple years before the Maroon 5 sound happened.
Hmm.
So I was doing that. Because remember I told you remember the
Yeah.
sequence?
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You'd end up in a place kind of like that. All the jazz, all the funk, plus the rock and the pop. That's kind of Maroon 5. So it was sort of that kind of thing. It was this. I've always been and still am in love and enamored with the R&B singers, particularly of the 70s and 80s, like your Stevie Wonders, Michael Jackson. And so it was kind of that, but I was also, kind of from this rock place, so I had some of that in it too. And then jazz. So there was this jazz kind of
Were you playing by
environment.
yourself, or was it trio, rock?
I did a
quartet?
lot of stuff, just me and a guitar. Oh, I forgot about that. There was also a folk time that I was doing a lot of that stuff, and I ended up being a guy in his acoustic guitar, singer-songwriter dude.
Well, that was huge when you
Yeah.
came out here. That was
Mhm.
the thing.
Yeah, so that too. I got lumped in, like there were a lot of producers and stuff that they'd see me, they'd mark me as a John Mayer or a Jason Mraz was very
It
popular.
was huge. Yeah.
Thing at that time. And so I was like, yeah, okay. I like that. I'm into that.
You're like, I'll take it.
I write like that. We can do that.
And how did you find other bands here?
I find the bands here as much of a pain in the ass then as I do now. I'm not
So
gonna
true,
lie, dude.
so
I'm
true.
not gonna lie. And I'm gonna tell you something.
Oh man, there were times where I'd
These-
almost get in fights with
These
bands.
fucking band people in this town have no idea how many times they have shot themselves in their own fucking feet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The way they project their importance, no offense, and also just the fact that, like, if I'm playing a gig and I'm getting paid, you're getting paid. But if I'm not, do I feel good about paying all of you
Right.
to be other versions of me?
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
That's what it is. And it pissed me off then. It pisses me off now.
Right.
And I get it. If you come here and you decide, I'm going to make a living, I'm going to do it by charging people to be on stage with them.
Have you ever played in New York?
No, I haven't done
So this is a trip. This is the difference between LA and New York that I just find crazy. Okay. So like, if you play in LA, you can find gigs that pay, you can find private events, and you can do all that.
Sure.
In New York City, the majority of musicians that play venues are playing for tips.
Yeah.
And I could not believe
Oh my
that.
God.
Musicians that I've gone to school with, I would go and see them play in these little weird restaurants or little bars, strange bars,
Yeah.
and they would just pass around a tip jar, which you don't see the tip jar passed around a lot in LA places. But in New York, it's a totally different vibe, and it actually made me appreciate some of the shithole clubs I played in LA.
I'm going to backtrack and say that's not everyone in LA.
No,
Because
I know what you mean, though.
I was extremely fortunate actually to find many people who did believe in me and would play with me and did play with me, and we rocked many a stage. And I've never actually paid a band to play with me. That's never happened for me. It's always been someone who wanted to be there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And how did you find the musicians that you want to play with?
Sometimes it would be the best ones were people that you meet in real life.
Right.
Any kind of situation where you somehow actually were in the same place as somebody. I tried the classifieds and all that kind of stuff, the Craigslist,
Yeah.
and that, which is I still think like, man, do you ever wish there was some other versions of Craigslist? Like, but would there'd probably just be the same 50 people on there.
Well,
Anyway,
the funny thing is, like
doing their ads.
my
together.
drummer, I think he's one of the best drummers in LA. His name's Adam Gust. He's been on the
I
show a
know
bunch of
Adam.
times. Yeah. So like, he's one of the most fiercest drummers around,
Mm-hmm.
and he plays with another guy named Eddie Cohn. And I was like, oh, how did you guys meet? Eddie's like, you're never gonna believe this. I put an ad in Backstage West, and Adam just happened to answer it, and I was like, dude, to have somebody that good answer an ad like that, they're out there, but it's like a shot in the
I've
dark.
had some people from ads too. It doesn't never work. It's just
right.
You really don't know what you're getting into with those.
Yeah, it's a loose bag.
I prefer to meet people in the real world.
Well, and see what they do. That's what I did.
And what's
That's
more,
what I did.
they see what you do.
Yeah.
It's hopefully the best ones. It's a mutual thing.
Well, I went around to like jam sessions and jazz sessions,
Yeah.
jazz gigs, and I like handpicked musicians I wanted to play with, just by like watching them play and watching them, interact and listen, and the style of music, and that's kind of like how I formulated my band. But it's so different. It's like sometimes Coldplay started with an advertisement two guys put on like a little lounge in their college, so you just never know how things come about.
I just don't even know if that's possible in LA anymore.
You know how Aerosmith met? Have you heard this story?
I don't know.
So Steven Tyler walks into a diner, orders French fries, and the French fries were so good. He's like, I want to meet the cook who made these French fries. And he goes in the back, and it was Joe Perry.
I do think I remember that.
Isn't that an amazing? I'm
is a
like,
great
dude,
story.
I'm like, what if Joe Perry just wanted to phone in on the fries that night?
What if he was thinking about something else?
Yeah, you just never know.
What if he was?
So
working
let's
on
fast forward.
guitar
Now
and
you're producing artists.
Yeah.
That has its own challenges, obstacles. How did you kind of adapt and kind of switch gears and kind of bring that musical expertise to that side of the game?
Well, first of all, I could not have, because I'm someone who I'm to a fault perhaps. I'm really critical of my own abilities and stuff, and like I just feel like when I finally realized that there wasn't any facet of the process from the very beginning to the very end that I didn't fully understand, when I finally realized that all of that was at my disposal, and that like I could create something from the foundation to the finish. That's my little line that I use on my website actually. I knew that there were a bunch of people out there that would benefit from that, like so much, because there are a lot of producers in this town. There's a lot of singers. There's a lot of songwriters. There's a lot of session guitar players. There's a lot of bass players. There's a lot of beat makers. But there aren't a lot of people that can do all that.
Right.
And I'm that guy. I do all those things.
And who are your favorite producers that you kind of like, you're like, oh my God, they do that, and I want to learn to do that?
That changes a lot, and I'm not really so great with names. I'm actually more of I listen to something and figure out if I can figure out how to do it. And then later on, I might find out who it is. But I was always really, really fond of Timbaland.
Yeah, he's a badass.
Thought he was amazing. In more recent years, I'm pretty impressed by a guy named Kevin Churko.
I don't know that name. Who's he?
he's on the heavier side. He did the band that I discovered him mostly was a band called In This Moment, which is a really cool kind of fusion of like it's sort of, I mean, it's definitely hard rock, heavy metal kind of thing, but he's got a very strong pop sensibility to him, and it's just doing, I think, really great stuff. And the songwriting is excellent too.
Well, let's get into some of the songs. What are we going to play first? What do you want to play?
Oh, well, since we're talking more about like what's right now, what's turning me on right now.
Easy there, buddy. It's not that kind of show.
Let me show you. Let me show you what I like. I want to talk about my band.
You must bow down to the almighty bunghole.
Sorry.
God damn it!
So,
what were you saying?
just because, and I'm gonna be self-serving here for a second, and,
All right.
And I still do production, and that's my bread and butter. But my passion project, my thing that I'd like to get on stage with. So LA musicians, if you're listening, call me. I got a band called Get Back Val, and I want you to play the thing that says hard rock.
Okay, here it is. Hard rock. And what's the name of the song?
The song's called Love Me. And this is a kind of a personal best for me in a lot of ways. I feel like I achieved something really spectacular on all levels with this.
Perfect. Let's listen. Here it is.
She felt him like electric rush.
Dude, that's
you.
great, man.
Thanks.
You know what I loved about it? It was like a little bit like Def Leppard.
Oh, I love them.
I hear it.
Input gain, little bit high on that. You crunched it just a little bit. The
Well,
recording's clearer than that, but that's all right.
well, we had to stream it. That's why I think.
know.
But
thanks.
you know what? It's Def Leppard sounds like it's one of my favorite bands. I love them.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of a Bon Jovi vibe too, and then it's got like this modern kind of Jellyfish kind of vibe. Do you know Jellyfish?
I do know Jellyfish.
Jellyfish is one of my favorite bands too,
Yeah.
man. Dude. So what was the inspiration behind the song?
That's a new comparison, Jellyfish.
I
I've
love
never heard that
Jellyfish.
one.
They're so great.
Never heard that one.
Very underrated band. They actually got wiped out by Nirvana.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
would have.
They got wiped
Yeah.
out. They just like they made the record
Yeah.
and then Nevermind came
And
out
then
and just
nobody cared.
everybody got
Yeah,
shoved.
That's shitty. Love Me was actually part of a musical I was writing.
Hmm.
And I have a whole bunch of songs that were part of that, and I have a lot of ideas all the time, and it's hard for me to keep up with them actually sometimes. And yeah, but it was written with that in mind.
Well, you should put it in a musical. Make a whole story, man.
Instead, I want to release a record that tells that story, and then maybe we'll make it into a musical.
Make a soundtrack for the musical.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
says like a Tommy.
That's
See?
yeah.
That band The Who, they were onto something.
That band, the Who's the What's It.
So what was your favorite? I heard a lot of guitar shredding, which was awesome. I love when you do that because it is something not everybody can do, and it's just cool when you do it, you know?
Yeah.
There's some people that just like it's like only what they do, or they know they can do it so they don't do it, and it's like that's the wrong choice.
It's
like,
hard. It's a hard.
you did just enough flavor
to
in
know,
the show.
like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It can be so overdone. And
Right.
It doesn't take much.
Right.
To overdo it, and
Right.
I am a much more usually of a kind of laid back. Like I don't throttle it down all the time, but
Well, you did like this tasty lick at the end. It was
Yeah.
very nice. Very cool. Well, let's talk gear for a second.
oh,
So, are you using
it's all in the box. I didn't
so
amp
Logic
anything.
amps,
I didn't
everything?
amp it.
Do you have a
No.
favorite like Logic amp or anything like that?
No, I don't use Logic amps.
So, what do you use? Waves?
Hang on. Let's see. Some of them were, what do you call it? Fucking guitar rig.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Yeah,
Guitar
I've used
rig. Some of it's some Universal Audio stuff.
Yeah, Universal
is
Audio is great.
Outstanding. Yeah. That's the bulk of it, mostly. Yeah. No outboard gear.
So, you use no pedals, nothing.
Not on that.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes I do a combination. I find the combination's good.
It's great, yeah, but like this is just kind of my thing. There's no backing for this or anything, so I mean, I produced that in my bedroom.
That's crazy.
I
It's
know.
awesome.
Yeah, the only thing we did outside for that was the live drums, which we did in a place.
Isn't that like
Yeah.
just every musician's just conundrum? It's like everything except for drums, because who wants to set up drums
The
in their
funny
place?
thing is it doesn't really, you don't even need them anymore. But I
Right.
still love
Me too.
live drums. And
Me
if you
too.
would, I don't know if you can tell or not, but like there's program stuff inside
Yep,
that
I heard that.
also. It's not just live drums. There's a whole
But it gives a different
stacks of
flavor.
things going- Oh yeah.
You know, it's super crazy. So, I was asked to do a cover of Bill Withers' song recently,
Which one?
and "Use Me," and I forgot. I wanted to play it for you, but it's not mixed yet. Anyways, so like my drummer, he sent me 3 tracks of him playing drums, and so we were in rehearsal, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I did something so crazy for your drums."
Nice.
He's like, "What?" He's like, "I left all 3 drums in," and he's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, it sounded like the second line New Orleans thing because he played almost identical parts in every
Awesome.
section." So I'm like, it sounds like this huge second line from New Orleans. I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
I never would have taken that approach if he didn't lay the drums down like that. So it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like having sounds or layers of
Uh-huh.
sounds that makes all the difference,
Yeah.
and it just gives a different identity,
Yeah.
to it. So,
sure.
what was your favorite part of recording that? Was it the guitar playing
It's
or
the vocals, man.
vocals?
The vocals on that, like, and I'll be honest, like really honest, that song scares me because
It's
like,
high, man.
And
Are you a
and to
10 or
sing
1?
that
You must be
live-
10 or 1.
Yeah.
You're definitely 10 or 1.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't actually know what that means. I'm a tenor. I'm a high tenor. That's all I've ever been described as a high tenor.
Well, there's a tenor 1 and a tenor 2.
Does
Tenor
that
2
have
is
to
lower.
do with the lowest note you can sing? Or
No,
the
no, no.
highest?
Tenor 1 is like the highest of all the tenors,
Mhm.
besides countertenors.
That's probably me.
And then there's tenor 2, which is like you're more of like a dramatic tenor. That's
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
I'm a dramatic tenor. And then there's baritones, which is one lower, and then bass, basically.
I've always been described as a high tenor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's crazy.
Yeah. But that song, the vocals on that song, like, I'm super proud of the vocals on
Yeah,
that
it
song.
sound great.
It's like some of the best stuff I've
When
ever
if you're
put
recording at the
down.
house, your neighbor's cool with you recording, and
Never get any complaints.
that's great.
I'll tell you something funny. I've sold records through the wall.
What?
Yes. Because my neighbor would be like, is that you? Are you singing? I was like, yeah. He's like, is that your music? Yeah. Can I buy it? I said, yeah.
You're like, here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know what? One of my neighbors came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, who's the guitar player in the house?" I was like, "Oh, that's me, man." He's like, "Dude, you sound great. We got to jam." And I'm like, "Okay."
And
So
then you're in that place.
and then I'm like, "Oh, if I
Do I
don't call,
wanna
yeah,
jam
do I
with
want to
you?"
jam with you?" Dude, it's so funny. I'm like, "You're either
You gotta-
awesome
you wanna be
or it's gonna
nice,
be yeah, totally."
but you
or
have
it's
no
gonna be-
idea.
And if you jam once,
You
you
know?
open the door and it's like then there's this
Yeah.
weird, awkward thing.
Yep.
But anyways, let's listen to another track. What do you want to play next?
Oh, okay. So yeah, that was Get Back Val, and you can find more of that at getbackval.com. And let's do now. One of the other things I did that was pretty cool. I'll do one of my production things. This is cool. I've been really fortunate that, and I say this for me because I told you I love to sing, right? And even though I work with other people and stuff, they don't always have somebody to sing on their projects. And once they hear my voice, a lot of times, guess who becomes the singer?
Right.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a whole EP with this dude by the name of Johnny Hazard. Produced it, co-wrote the songs, and the vocalist. And that's called Calling. You can play that. That's on there.
All right, here we go.
And that's Johnny Hazard.
Here's Calling.
He's on Spotify. We're on Spotify with this one too. So
All right.
actually, all these are on Spotify. Get Back Val is also on Spotify.
Here comes Calling featuring Pete Hopkins. kind of had like an Incubus vibe to
All
it.
right.
Who
Yeah.
do you hear when you? It was kind of like
I don't know. I just wrote some stuff, and
it's
the
like
guy-
power pop rock.
I was, to me, it's got a little bit of a punk edge to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little
Power
bit of
punk.
Green Day,
Green Day,
but
or
but the melodies
like a
were a
Jimmy
little
Eat
bit different.
World
Yes, Jimmy
kind of
Eat World.
vibe.
That is it.
Mhm.
So
And
the
a
guy I was
little
telling you
Foo
about, Doug
Fighters.
Messenger,
Yeah.
he produced Jimmy Eat World.
Nice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Maybe tonight we'll have to call
Maybe
him.
tonight.
Yeah, Jimmy Eat World. That was it, man.
Yeah.
I was like, who am I thinking about? This sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm like Incubus.
It's like super poppy and
Yes.
super catchy, but it's also got
Yes.
just this little bit of like
guitar flair.
a little bit of punk
Yeah.
edge on it.
Yes. Jimmy Eat World was
Yeah.
exactly.
That was
it.
a lot of fun.
That's
doing
tight.
that.
So
Yeah.
what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, this guy, he had, and he wanted to make a whole EP. We did. We made a whole EP of kind of like sort of self-empowerment kind of songs, stuff like that.
I don't know if you noticed that, but it hit the wall, it hit the fan, then it hit
That
the
was a
trash
hell
can.
of a shot.
Hell of a shot. It was
Yeah.
a good shot.
Y'all on the radio
Anyways, I'm
missed
still
that shit.
listening. You made a whole
Anyway.
EP.
Yeah, about this stuff that was like about. When he told me, I was like, "Yeah, I can do that," because that's me. It's all
crazy.
about like it's all the whole thing is about like facing your inner demons and summoning the strength and believing in yourself and that stuff and following a dream. And I could totally get behind that. And we just went through the process of listening to some songs and picking them out, and I helped to tighten up, strengthen the lyrics. For a few of the songs, for 3 out of the 5 songs, I wrote all the lyrics. I penned all of it.
Wow.
And he just like loved it and loved the whole process. And I was so into it that I put a lot of time into that. And I think it's really great. I'm really excited for it. That's the first song, Calling, has been released. There'll be 4 more coming out from Johnny Hazard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's play one more. What do
Okay.
we got next?
All right. Let's see.
I think you said it was a song called Extraordinary.
Go to, yeah. I love this song, and it should be played.
All right, here it
I
is.
just love it.
Pete Hopkins, Extraordinary.
One of the most personal songs ever made.
Let me get this off my chest. I was wrong, I know it best. I thought I was being true, being the me you wanted me to be. Let me try now to explain. I never meant to cause you pain. I thought what you didn't know could do no harm, but I was wrong. You see, you fell in love with half illusion. I fear I've killed the very best thing that ever happened to me. You're extraordinary. You're making me feel like there's a heaven above me. It's extraordinary how you could feel like you could ever love me again. I am scared, I am scared. I love being loved so much, I fear I'm way beyond repair. I want you to stay, but I don't know if you'll be happy where I wanna go. And now you see, I'm really glad you met the real me. 'Cause now there's no more half illusion. And now you've given us a chance to see if we're truly meant to be. Extraordinary, you're making me feel like there's a heaven above me. It's extraordinary how you could feel like you could ever love me again.
dude, that totally had like kind of like a Rush vibe.
What?
Yeah,
Rush.
totally,
Okay.
totally like a Rush ballad.
If Rush loved dubstep,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got like a vibe. Your
And-
vocals, your melodic sense in that song is very,
cool.
yeah, very Rush, man. Very cool.
thanks.
Without Neil Peart. No, there's no crazy drum solo.
That's true. Yeah.
No
Rush meets
superfluous.
Skrillex.
Yes, exactly. No, but
Skrill
the
Rush.
vocals, the melody. I was like, who am I hearing? I'm like, it kind of sounds like Jesus Jones. Kind of sounds like Rush.
Jones.
I love Jesus
You picked
Jones,
some random shit.
dude. I listen to some crazy stuff.
I would only know that right here.
Oh, so
right
dude, there's like 3
now.
great
I don't
songs on
know
that.
any Jesus Jones.
Real quick, Pete, how can people find you if they want you to produce some tracks for them?
Yeah, if you want to make records with me, work on songs, anything like that, you want to go to www.hopkinssound.com. That's one S, like Hopkins Sound, like the S is shared. Hopkinssound.com.
1S.
One S.
Exactly, but not how he just showed you.
That's exactly how you do it. Just exactly like that.
Well, Pete, this is is this your second or third time here in the show?
On your show, this would be my second.
Second?
I think.
Well, you're gonna have to come back, man.
I'll come back.
Make some more music.
Yeah, man.
Keep making the tunes, man.
This was super spontaneous.
Dude, this is how we should
Yeah.
always do it.
Yeah.
The best interviews work
Write a
like
song
that.
all day and then let's
That's right.
let's go to a
See,
radio
doesn't
show.
it feel good?
It does
Doesn't
feel
it feel
good.
It does feel good.
It's nice.
And we finished the song before
Like
the
a
radio
cherry,
show.
little cherry on top.
See, that's the way I like it. Well, on behalf of Ronan, who's sitting outside saying, "Hey, are we going home soon?" Or, "My name is Nikki Carula. We'll see you guys next week."
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.